In the standard model of early education, a classroom operates much like an assembly line. Children are seated uniformly, expected to absorb lectures passively, and pressured to memorize information to meet rigid, standardized metrics. When learning is tied to a forced pace, the focus inevitably shifts from exploration to compliance. A child learns to wait for instructions rather than ask questions, causing their natural drive to figure things out to fade. Observing this dynamic in the early 20th century, Dr. Roopa Montessori concluded that true education is a natural process. It is driven by the child's physical experiences in their environment, not acquired simply by listening to an adult speak. The core flaw of the traditional system isn't the subject matter. The flaw is the physical and structural space itself, a rigid environment that leaves zero room for self-paced, autonomous discovery. At Absorbant Mind Montessori, the methodology actively counters this problem. Instead of standing at the front of a room to teach, the educators engineer what they call a prepared environment to naturally activate a child's innate desire to learn. This environment is a meticulously organized ecosystem. Every object and shelf serves a specific cognitive function, divided into interconnected zones for mathematics, practical life, and sensory exploration. Within this framework, children determine their own workflow. They are free to choose the activities that capture their focus on any given day, progressing through the materials at their own individual pace. Removing the friction of an external, group-wide schedule eliminates competition and anxiety. Intrinsic motivation takes over, allowing the child to concentrate deeply on mastering the task in front of them. This systemic shift, moving from passive listening to autonomous individual interaction, creates the functional conditions for a child's curiosity to sustain itself. At Absorbent Mind, this transition from a rigid schedule to an engineered, child-centered ecosystem is known as the light within the child methodology. The first pillar of this ecosystem is the material itself. The Montessori curriculum takes highly abstract concepts like volume, spatial relations, and mathematics, and translates them into physical tools a child can manipulate. Looking at these wooden cylinders, sensory learning is grounded in physical interaction. The children feel the scale of the shapes. Because the blocks are proportional, they provide immediate feedback. If a cylinder is wrong, it won't fit, allowing the child to adjust without adult intervention. This hands-on logic applies directly to practical life exercises. Tasks like pouring water, sweeping, and gardening require physical precision, which naturally stretches a child's attention span and improves focus. Physicalizing abstract problems allows children to build problem-solving frameworks through direct trial and error. They are constructing their own intelligence by interacting with the world around them. As the students mature, this tactile approach scales with them across 4 distinct developmental stages, forming the second pillar, the community. In the early childhood wing, supporting ages 2.5 to 6, the space utilizes purposeful play to build fine motor skills and a baseline for self-guided discovery. Moving into the primary wing for ages 6 to 9, materials shift towards structured academic exploration. The focus expands to complex mathematics, phonics, and language construction. For ages 9 to 12, the elementary wing transitions this knowledge outward. The curriculum heavily integrates collaborative group work and real-world applications of the concepts they've mastered. Running parallel to these stages is the special education program, applying the exact principles of individualized pacing to provide empowering, specialized support. Structurally, every wing utilizes mixed-age classrooms. The younger children naturally observe and learn from their older peers, and the older children reinforce their own knowledge by actively mentoring the younger ones. This peer-to-peer network relies on the third pillar, the guides. The teachers function as silent observers and gentle facilitators. They step in to redirect a frustrated child and then deliberately step back to let the child finish the task independently. By blending age groups and removing the adult as the constant center of attention, the classroom naturally cultivates empathy, leadership, and mutual respect. Operating this specific methodology requires highly precise infrastructure. This brings us to the fourth pillar, the physical campuses where Absorbant Mind replicates this ecosystem in Bengaluru. The established Benishangari and JP Nagar locations utilize standardized high-tier security and dedicated transport systems to ensure the learning spaces remain entirely safe and self-contained. This exact footprint is now active at the newly opened third branch in Gubalala, the Shank Academy near the Dada Kalasandra metro station, scaling the model to accommodate the rising demand for an active alternative to traditional schools. A meticulously prepared classroom can only do so much on its own. For the child to fully benefit, the philosophy of the prepared environment has to continue at home. The guiding rule for parents is simple. The essence of independence is allowing the child to do things for themselves. This means stepping back and giving them the space to struggle, adapt, and succeed on their own terms. In practice, this looks like setting up accessible stations in the kitchen or allocating the extra time they need to dress themselves. Parents can monitor how these home habits align with academic milestones using the school's interactive app. Over months and years, these small moments of autonomy compound. The students develop deep critical thinking skills, high emotional intelligence, and the quiet, steady confidence of someone who knows how to figure things out. The Absorbant Mind methodology measures success by the strength of a child's self-reliance. It equips them with the internal tools to keep learning, adapting, and growing long after they leave the classroom.